Shenanigans. Real talk and real recovery, sharing stories, old and new, trying to stay on the right path and help others just like you. So feel our flow and get on with the show. Here's your hosts, Stoff and Primo.
Okay, can we record? I mean,
yeah, we have a.
You know, Bill Cosby kept it clean. Look what happened to him.
I saw Ron White. I saw Ron White last night at the casino. The comedian Ron White.
Yeah,
Man, he's bitter. He's
Really?
drinking again. He was sober. Now he was killing whiskey while he was performing and being an alcoholic. And I was like, I mean, and my wife's a big fan of his, but he was bitter and he was making Bill Cosby jokes like old used material. And he kicked a guy out. I mean, it only seats 1,300 people, and he kicked this poor guy out. And I could only attribute it to the whiskey he was drinking, because he got mean and mad. You know what I'm saying? It was not a cool, calm Ron White. It was an agitated, pissed off, slamming bourbon Ron White. It wasn't much fun to watch, to be honest with you.
I don't even know. I mean, God, if I was to possibly ever go back to drinking, I don't even know what that guy would look like.
Let's not find out.
Let's not find out.
Yeah, he's not. You know, I don't even know if I could bring back the balloon pants and you know, who knows?
No, probably not.
A perm. I'd have to get a perm.
You talking about parachute pants?
Yes. I don't even
You're
know.
gonna break out the cardboard?
And a mullet.
Yeah,
know what I
I
mean?
don't doubt that at all.
Yeah.
I see you in your mullet and your half shirt and your Playboy chain, and all the things that you told me about it. Man, let's not go back to that.
Yeah, it's a shame, you know, when people make that choice. So Ben, how is life? How are you doing, man? I'm curious.
You know, it's life. You know, I'm just having a human experience like everybody else. I think that this past 3 years, it's funny because you always think, oh, like you get over one sort of life quake, and then you're like, okay, I see the other side. You grow. You're like levitating, and then, you know, God or the universe, like, he's up there laughing, and
Right.
you know, throws another curveball, and you know, I went through a pretty contentious, long divorce,
I understand.
and finally got divorced. So you know, things are looking up.
Well,
Nice.
congratulations on however, if it's going the way that you want it to go. That's
Does it ever? I mean, I wish I had that power.
yeah.
I wish I had the power to let it go the way I wanted to. But it usually goes the way I need it to. I just don't see it until after
Right. I will be done, right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. What do they say? Man plans, God laughs.
Yeah. Well, I know that God's got a sense of humor. That's for sure. And but you know what, man? You're a warrior. You know that. I know you. I know you're a warrior, and I know that you've been the high road, trying to take the high road and keep it on a spiritual level, and it's difficult. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the greatest strengths or attributes I think I have, and a lot of people that I know, especially in recovery, is resilience, man. Like you know, going through it, you know, without some helpers, you know, without some you know, things that might make it a little bit easier.
You're raw dog in reality.
Exactly. Raw dog in reality. Love that. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, you know, my life hasn't been the easy path. But first of all, I don't know a lot of people who, whether in the recovery or just living life, you know, like I said earlier, part of the human experience is some hurdles, some like life quakes that we go through. And, you know, we either grow through them and from them, or we are bound to repeat them.
Well, we've been blessed to have been in a brotherhood and known each other through quakes, and I've watched yours, and you've seen mine, and you know, but it's cool to know that somehow, somewhere, we're going to surface back in each other's life, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
Like, I know I've got this crazy Rolodex of cool guys that, God willing, you know, I have to pick up that £1 million phone and ask one of them for help. I always believe I could get it, you know, but the pride would get in the way probably a lot, you know, too much. But I need to be able to flex that once in a while, you know, and to know that I got those guys. Greg is a new guy to the troop, the squad, whatever we want to call it. I really have enjoyed watching his progress and his story. He's a supremely talented guy, as a lot of different aspects of his life. I mean, All-American basketball. You were on the tennis team for USA in the senior. He played for Team USA in the senior division or something, or basketball. Basketball, yeah.
Basketball, yes.
Excuse me.
I was on Team USA, 50 and over. We played in Finland. It was awesome. There was 290 teams from 90 countries. It was like the Olympics. It was real dope.
That's awesome.
It was real awesome. I sobriety. You guys both got sober quite a bit ago when you were younger. I didn't get sober till I was 54, and I'm sober now, pushing 3 years. And it took me till then really to try to explore some of the things I really like to do. You know, I got sober, and I was like, man, I got this bucket list that I've been writing down for 20 years of stuff I'm going to do when I have the time. And I just started doing it.
Good.
And it was awesome, man. It was really awesome. And it's one of those things that, you know, I don't have the wall in front of me to stop me from trying stuff like this. This is a good example.
Right.
You know, I just, anything that comes up, you know, if I've written it down in a book and in my notes, I'm going to try it now because I got nothing saying don't. You know, when I was under the influence, I would never commit to anything because I knew I wouldn't follow through.
Right.
But now I got faith I'm going to follow through. So I might as well try it. Plus, I'm 56. How much more time do I got to try stuff?
Right. And how many people are on their deathbed or close, or not even their deathbed, but can't do a lot of things on their bucket list because they waited.
Right.
You know, and there's a difference, I think, between a stark difference between living life and just fucking surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And like living it is into action.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you say you don't have anything blocking you. Unfortunately, I have things blocking me, and it's between my ears.
Yeah.
Right. Still, like, and the perfect example of blocking is I shoulds, the should.
Right.
Like I should do this. I should do that. I should go check this off the bucket list.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes I don't always do it.
You're bringing back some Guy King into the
Guy King.
Oh, that was my sponsor.
And my sponsor too.
Yeah.
And he is still tattooed in my soul, my brain, and my heart.
The shoulds. What if?
The
Did
what
you
ifs.
Did you use the what if too?
The what ifs? if only.
If only.
Yeah.
Nice.
I used to hate that shit.
Yeah.
That brings up a great point, Ben. So with us today is Ben H. From Tampa. We're really glad to have him, and he's an old friend of Primo's through the program. So why don't we go back to how you guys met, maybe possibly when it was, what meeting it was. I mean, maybe a little background story between the two of you guys having such a long relationship.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I moved to Tampa in actually Y2K 2000. Literally January 1st, 2000 is the day that we moved here. And I met Chris at Bayshore.
Yep.
Monday night meeting. You know, I had moved here, and I had about 5 years of sobriety, and I came to the meetings, and they did it different.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it wasn't the same, and I didn't see the same people, and I felt like a newcomer again, and I didn't like that.
San
feeling.
Francisco kid.
Yeah, San Francisco kid. And you know, that part of me, the dark side, the alcoholic mind was just, you don't need that anymore. You know, you got 5 years. You don't need. Yeah. But I kept on coming back, and I kept on like walking through that uncomfortableness of being a newcomer, which is all ego, right? Because there's, whether you have 3 years, 30 years, or whatever, like it's all ego. But it was keeping me from getting better. And finally, I, you know, started going out with people after the meetings, and the meeting after the meeting.
Yep.
And that, the fellowship, is why I'm still here today.
Yeah.
I got sober at 21 years old. I went to meetings and I was like, oh my God, like, look at all these old people. Like, this is it. Like, I'm never going to have fun again.
Right.
And then somebody grabbed me after a meeting one day and we went and had, not Waffle House, but like Waffle House in San Francisco. And we had the best time and I laughed and I was like, and then I realized like how much fun. And then, I did it again when I came to Tampa and put those 2 feet right in the middle of the boat.
Nice.
And people like Chris, and then we would golf and do other things, poker. And
we would get in trouble outside. And I remember our kids bowled.
Bowling.
I remember we went bowling with the kids.
Times.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. And my son was, oh my God, such a good influence on my kid. And it was good father and son time for me, some good memories for me. Mm-hmm. And I remember I still got a video of Luke dancing. And it was crazy, man. Like 5 or 6 years old. I don't even remember. Asher was a little more mature than Luke was. Asher's like a year or two older.
Older, yeah.
Yeah. So Luke was like, that was like an idol for him was Asher because of the maturity. Mm-hmm. And he needed, he wanted to be around older kids or older boys were just impressive to him,
Yeah. And then the 25 years later.
Yeah.
Kids, divorces, sickness, health, all these life things. And, I've known Chris through it all and he's known me through it all. And it's, you talk, and those people, we talk about soulmates a lot. Like, I don't believe in one soulmate. I think friends can be soulmates. But the sort of test of it is you can go not see this person for a while. Right. And then once you see each other, it's like no time passed.
Yeah.
There's seasonal friends and then, like winter, spring come, they come and they go and they come. But, a true soulmate is somebody who connected to in time and you might talk every day and you might not do all that. But once you see each other again, it's like nothing passed.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a blessing. That's the cool, like the really undervalued portion of sobriety. Like people think, well, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to do this and that. But what you get is so much deeper and more privileged. Yeah. And it's like, that's the one thing that keeps me. It's because I don't want to have to, I know what those friendships are out there. When you're not sober, I know what they're like. They're not like this, man. They're not deep and they're not, there's just something about like what Ben was just talking about. It's very critical.
Yeah, and again, it's the reason I'm still here today. Look, the program, all the work that's done is great, and it completely changed the way I look at life and the way I show up. But what kept me coming back was seeing the same people, making a plan, see you at the meeting, like being accountable, but also, what are we doing after the meeting?
Yeah,
what are we gonna do? When are we gonna play golf or whatever it is, and that's what. Really, really. At a young age, I don't know what it's like, later, but that's what I needed. Somebody to grab me and take me to, go eat waffles at 8:30 at night and stay there for hours and laugh like I hadn't laughed ever in my life.
You need some big, tall, handsome, red-haired guy to come and ask you to start a podcast or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I was licking my wounds from the fucking hurricanes, okay? Just sitting around, dug in my shit, dealing with doctors telling me that I got to go do this and be healthy and all that. And just not participating in my own life. And this, I think that, by doing this, it's taken some energy. I'm learning the new tricks and stuff that, I could just be, doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or just traveling or waiting for my wife to get off of work so we can go do something. Or I'm running my business part of the time. It doesn't it's wired pretty tight after, I've got that thing ratcheted down pretty good right now, and it doesn't need me, like it did in the beginning. Now it's like, and I'm a doer, man. I like action. I like to do things. And, and the ones and the 10s and 20s of people that may be listening to this, okay, if we can help somebody throughout that, that's a huge bonus, man.
That's the goal of the whole thing, is to try to put it out there into the universe and see if there's anybody we can help with a story, or so you're not alone. The big thing I think that we try to share with this particular podcast is to let people know you're not alone. There's other people that have the same problems you have, and there's people out there looking to help. And it's funny that you say that, Ben, because I golfed this morning with 3 sober guys that are new friends to me. Now, and I've lived here 40 years, and I got lots of golf buddies. But I was losing them, and I realized only after the fact it's because I had become a drunk asshole. And before I knew it, they didn't want to hang out with me. And then so the people who were hanging out with me were the new people who were just drunk
Other
assholes.
drunk assholes too. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But that was a hell of a foursome.
Oh, dude, I would come home and my wife would say, so, who are you hanging out with? And I'd say so-and-so, and she'd go, who is that? Like, I've been with her 30 years. If she doesn't know them, then they're just the person who decided to drink with me that day.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, you got to talk about some of your old nickname buddies, Third Leg Greg and
Third Leg Greg is still here in town. He's one of my good buddies. He's the voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Greg Wolf.
Yeah, Greg Wolf. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, I've known.
He did radio for a while.
Third Leg Greg's first radio show was in a closet in Tampa, and I was his first guest. I was a rapper for a group, Day Monet. We were on the radio. We were on Power Pick, whatever back then. And I met this young kid out of USF who had a radio show in a closet, almost a little smaller than this. And we did a show, and I've been friends with Greg ever since. He's one of my favorite people in the world. But I just happened to mention his nickname, and he thinks
Third Leg Greg. Yeah.
Yeah, he loves that name.
I like me. I like that kind of fucked up humor.
Yeah, no. Greg's a great guy. Shout outs to Third Leg and everybody. But yeah, everybody. Well, you guys too. Everybody you come up with has a nickname of some sort. And what I like is the saying, people come in your life for a season or a reason. You had just kind of said this, and it's seasonal, which means I meet this guy or lady, and then they're gone in 6 months. But it was nice to know them. And then there's reasons, like getting sober, like making my life better, like the people I've met at that meeting that I go to, like Primo, and like you, people I would have never have met otherwise, who have affected my life in a positive way, because the people that I meet in these rooms and in this program seem to genuinely care about my well-being.
Yeah, and I also think that, and you brought it up about the listeners and that you're not alone, is I think one of the most powerful spiritual feelings or principles is relatedness. And in my life, whether it's getting sober and knowing that I'm not I don't suffer but because I think when times are tough and I'm at my low point in life, they're saying terminal uniqueness. Like, I think I'm the only one in the world going through that. And that could not be further from the truth. Right? Like a breakup. Oh, poor me, I'm the only one who feels this way. No, Ben.
Yeah.
There are probably hundreds of millions of people right now in this moment going through the exact same thing with you. And that's why the magic of, recovery or the program, because you're filled with a room full of people that you've never met, or you have met some of them, but you don't know, but
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Because they are exactly like you. They are suffering the same way. And just hearing somebody else talk about what you're going through or what you've been through, to me, that's godsend. Like, that is like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. And here I am 30 years later, 52 years old, and still go through that.
Yeah.
But that's the magic of what you guys are doing, what a lot of people doing when they're just telling their story. Like, you're not alone. I hate to break it to people who's listening. Like, you're not, terminally unique.
No. I'd like to get into some of that rarefied air. Yeah. However, it just never happens. My kid broke up with his girl. Well, they didn't break up on purpose. She graduated and she was a couple years older, and she went back home, and they decided to call it.
Was it his first
breakup? No. My kid's all over the place. But no, he's a lover, man. He's like his third or fourth heartbreak. He's doing good though. And but he calls me and he's like, Dad, and he's crying. And he's, but I was so relieved that he called me with this. And I'm like, and I told him that I love him and that, it's probably the mature thing. They did the mature thing. It wasn't like F you. They hugged each other out at the airport, and they realized that a long distance deal wasn't going to be good for them, and that
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I
mature.
mean, look, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. There's nothing like a heartbreak.
Oh,
There's nothing like the first heartbreak. I mean, I remember, like, it is one of those things that, because it's especially, look, I'm sure it's the same for women, but I'm just going to speak for the males, right? Or this male right here.
Yeah.
It's the first time in my life where I didn't have control, like my nervous system. I could feel it. Like but the mind and the thinking and the plotting and the planning and
where and when, Ben? Where and when?
And this is before HD TV or 4K,
Yeah.
right? This is like tube TVs. But I saw all that shit in 4K, like what she was doing, who she was with, and it just. And one thing I look back on it now, because I, have been through it since, is the self-talk, the negative self-talk that goes on with it. But everybody has to go through it, and I'm grateful for each one of those women who broke my heart. It left a scar, but there's no greater motivator.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give him too much credit, damn it.
No?
Well, maybe a little.
Maybe it helps you focus and get back working on yourself,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that number one?
Right.
You can't put oxygen on the other people till you put it on yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
I've been beaten pretty badly for sure.
Yeah, but you're still doing all right.
Look at you now. I mean, that's
Exactly.
I'm actually in a blessed marriage right now. I feel good about it.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about life. Like this thing is all those other ones had to build you up to where you are now. It's not by random occurrence. I don't think that you're in a healthy, striving relationship. Yeah, I know you. It's because you learned from what happened in the past.
I'm trying to figure out which one hurt me the most. I'm sitting here trying to remember which exact one.
Either the first or the last, I'm guessing.
Well, they had different ways of hurting me. They one ran over, the other one backed up, and the other one ran over. It was like they were tag teaming, and they got the whole thing.
You just reminded me of a story real quick. I broke up with my college girlfriend, and I was leaving town, right? Basically, we broke up. I was living with her and her family at the time, and I had to leave town because we were done. So as I'm leaving town, I'm getting ready to get the bus because I'm broke. I'm in college, and I'm catching a ride back up to Chicago. And she gives me a Walkman. You guys remember Walkman? She gives me a Walkman and goes, "Here you go. This is like, I feel like she's giving me a soft landing."
What'd she make you, a mixtape?
She made me a mixtape with a Walkman. Listen to this. You guys are going to love this. And this is, I can still see it like it was yesterday. It's a scene in a movie, right? So she's saying goodbye. I get on the bus. I'm looking at her through the window of the bus, and I put the headphones on.
It's like an 80s rom-com movie.
She's so diabolical.
It's like Say Anything.
I put on the headset, and right as I hit play, and I don't remember the song that started playing, but the battery in the Walkman immediately died. And I start looking at the headphone, and the tape is dragging, and it goes to 0. And as I look out the window, she's flipping me off like this.
Oh, wow.
She gave me a dead Walkman on my
she
way
gave
out
you a
of
dead
town.
Walkman.
She
So
did.
what?
Wow.
She did. On my way out of
Wow,
town.
that's cold.
It was so
That's
cold. I
cold.
can still see it.
So
in
there was
my
nothing on the
brain.
tape?
There was nothing. I don't even know.
But it wasn't, so she didn't make the tape for you.
No, she gave me
She
the
wanted
Walkman.
to give you hope that there was a love songs or something on the tape.
Yes.
Meow.
And not only that, the whole Walkman didn't work.
Ruthless.
I hit play and it went.
A little side note to people out there who are in the younger generation. You don't know how lucky you are if you want to make a mixtape or songs for your girlfriend. I mean, you have Spotify. You just add to your playlist. I mean, it is
Easy.
Yeah,
It is easy.
I mean, we used to have to push record, and anyway,
Tape,
back in the day.
splice, scissors.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, we used to record, and actually Morris Sound Studios, which just celebrated. I think it's closing a couple days ago in Tampa. It's one of the homes of death metal. We got to record there way back in the day. Back in like '92, I was recording in there, and it was tape, wire, and scissors. It was a 2-inch reel, and you cut it and
Yeah.
you taped it literally over space. That's when I first met Greg.
Now you had a label, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
And we were actually one of the only recording studios in Northern California that were still recorded on tape. Now we had Pro Tools. It was sort of a combination of analog and digital. But the cool thing is there were still artists, and they would come from L.A., like Moby wanted to record there, Lauryn Hill recorded there, because they wanted still to record on tape. It was, you know.
Yeah, that 2-inch reel.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I remember Pro Tools. I remember when that came in.
Yeah.
You know, me and my buddies talk about, you know, we came up carrying crates of records, you know, with the DJ casket, with 2 turntables.
Now they show up with a laptop.
I know, it's not really DJing. It's just not.
Yeah.
And I do it. I have a radio show on Friday nights, old school hip hop, and I now do it from a computer, and I feel kind of fraudulent.
Yeah. But it is the way. I mean, look, it's not like you're at a club, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is, man. It's like adapt or die, and it's easier.
It is.
I mean, you still have to match the beat, even though you can push a button to match it. But
you can beat match like that, but you have to know what to play at what time. There's a feel. There's a feel. Yeah. You know, my buddy T Quest it's at Janice Live, Janice Landing, 3 or 4 nights a week. And God, I love him. He's you know, he's been doing it 30 something years, and he just loves that life. You know, he knows what to play, when to play it, take requests, stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 nights a week. Come on.
So this is a good segue into, you know, the basics a little bit. You know what I mean? Keeping the basics going. I mean, there's, you know, in my sobriety, obviously, I think about just the simple things I do regularly. You know, it's the catching up with you guys and doing all that, but it's the acknowledgement every day that, yeah, man, I can't drink today, and I need to go out and be the best version of myself every day. You know, and it includes whether I'm reaching out, talking to somebody, reading something, going to a meeting, praying. It's just a basic recipe that I have to kind of keep in my head, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, it's segued.
You segued. You
Basic.
segued right to.
Did you guys see that?
Right to dead
Wow.
ass.
So yeah. Of the complication of carrying 3 crates of records and your turntables and all the mixer,
Right.
to that complicated, to keep it simple and just bring your laptop.
Yeah. Well, now it's gotten.
Way to bring it back, Ben. That was very nice. He wrapped that all back up.
I
Oh,
was trying to save you, Chris.
That's very good. Very good.
this is where you put in some
That's right.
some of the music.
You can do that in post.
That's right. I will.
It's all right. I tried.
So, all right. Well, one thing that we really like to do here on Sober Shenanigans is we like to do a celebrity quote from a sober celebrity. And part of our topic for today is breaking anonymity, which means you're proud to be sober. You're proud to be in the program. So the anonymity part doesn't really apply to you as kind of how I feel. I don't know if it's because I came in later or if I'm just so happy about my sobriety that I will tell anybody. I'll tell you my whole name, my whole story. But today's celebrity is Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., speaking of less than zero. And here's his quote on sobriety. It's my newfound experience that in order to get things done, I must be still and sober. When that is afforded by an imposed restriction, illness, whether incarceration or generally being grounded, I now believe it is God's way of giving you some true freedom to catch up on what you need to accomplish inwardly and outwardly. Robert Downey Jr. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's really good. And it sort of dovetails on what we were talking about earlier, is that, you know, when your primary focus in life is how you're going to get high next, how you're going to get, you know, you have one, or, you know, when you're suffering from the disease, it's one focus, singleness of purpose, like nothing else matters. That doesn't allow you a lot of freedom to do anything else. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like Robert's quote, it's, you know, now he has the freedom. And, you know, I love his story. And you know, right. Chris and I were talking before, and I don't really put celebrities on pedestals or
pedestals.
Well, they're celebrities.
I like it. All right.
So it's plural. So they all can't stand on one.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
I love the way you brought that around.
So,
My right.
But you know what we saw with him is he was the train wreck, right? He was, and that is what sells to America. You know, they want to see Britney Spears having a nervous breakdown. They want to see Justin Bieber doing whatever he wants, you know, is going to do, because that's what TMZ does. That's what sells. The sober person doesn't sell.
Right.
Right. And Robert Downey Jr. was, you know, there was a period there where he was waking up in somebody else's bed who wasn't his.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
And you just were thinking, oh, you know, the next call, just like anybody who has somebody in their life who suffers from this thing, jails, institution, or death. Like we're just sitting there in America waiting for Robert Downey to get arrested or die.
Right.
And it didn't happen. And now we see him and what happens to people who get sober, and not only get sober, but you know work whatever program he works or whatever, and it's a beautiful thing, you know, and because he's not any different than Chris, you, or me, or anybody else, and that's why the celebrity thing's a little different, because I know thousands of Robert Downey Jr.'s,
Right.
but the world, you know, and pop culture or whatever, got to see it. And the anonymity thing, like, I get it, you know, when the program came around in the, you know, 30s, and there was a stigma, and there still is, but, you know, it's not as big as it was, you know, back then in the day, because there was a weakness back then. Right?
Well, right now it's been trendy too to be sober.
Right.
You know, but I think what's been interesting to me is I've been kind of plucking some of these guys and trying to figure out who's sober and all that, is once you see the amount of time that they're sober, the chronological time, and then you see the success. I mean, Hannibal Lecter, okay, wasn't Hannibal Lecter until he got sober. I mean, we're talking about some of the greatest acting in his craft. Brilliant. Same with Robert Downey Jr. Mel Gibson was on both sides, but you can see how his life completely transformed. But he's not sober as long, but he's now very, very successful in a lot of areas of his life. And I'm assuming his personal relationships have gotten a lot better. There's just quite a few of them because they've been a public, you know, figure. I don't know. I really appreciate, like, on the magnitude of my personal life, how I had the same successes. It just wasn't in the public eye. You know what I mean? Like the way that I climbed life's mountain, you know, because I was sober and all these great things happened in my life. It's on a different scale, yes, but the reality is it's very similar. There's a lot of similarities to me when I see the successes in their life and my life.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one thing about me is when I did get sober, I was, you know, like I said, 21 years old, and I didn't have a job, and I didn't have a wife or friends, you know, family who were going to be, you know, in Yiddish, yentas, you know, talking about Ben and what a mess up it was and what he did to his wife and kid. So I just always was open about it. Yeah. You know, I was always, you know, and what I found through that was not being a spokesperson, because obviously they don't want me as a spokesperson or anybody else, quite frankly, because I am Robert Downey Jr., Anthony Hopkins, Mel Gibson, you, Chris, one drink away from getting caught with a bag of blow and a bunch of hookers or whatever it is, right? And then the story continues. See, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Right.
And, you know, but what came out of it, I've gotten been able to help more people because of being open about it. Because I get calls from people, family, friends, or you know, whomever that know that I've been sober for a long time. Right. Is there anything you can do or talk? You know, and so for me, and from a selfish standpoint, and you know, the helping out another alcoholic has come more from that than it has from. I wouldn't say inside the room, but tremendous amount from people who wouldn't go to meet me, right, who I could take or go, you know. So for me, from a personal standpoint, you know, it's been very helpful from a spiritual helping out others.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. That sounds great.
So I've had a story where now that we're on anonymity, we segued right into that very very well, actually, by the way.
Your transitions are beautiful.
I am working
Seamless.
on it. Just seamless.
Flowing.
So I had a situation. I was a couple weeks sober, and I was at a picnic, and I was playing volleyball, and I landed on this tire that they put cement in it, and they used it to hold up the net. Well, I busted my foot bad, and I'm like limping around, screaming in pain. So these alcoholics that were, everyone there was from the treatment center or whatever, they put me in this car. They drove me to the hospital, to the emergency room, and they get me in a wheelchair. They wheel me in, and this one guy goes, "Don't give him anything. He's an alcoholic." I'm like, shit. So this is my first time my anonymity got broken.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like. I want to be also very clear. Like, it is obviously the spiritual foundation of the whole deal. So, I get it from the other perspective, 100%. Like, I understand if people want to do it and understand why, and it's still like, we talk about stigma. It's still thick. It is still people out there that think it's not a disease, that it's a weakness, and people have jobs and careers and church or whatever they do. And so I completely respect it. I completely value if somebody wants to keep an anonymity. I've never broken anybody's anonymity.
Right.
But this is just a personal choice.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I don't talk about what the name is, I don't, but I do want to just say that anonymity is a very important part of the deal. And if somebody wants to do it, they should. And if somebody wants to break it, they should.
That's yours.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah.
It's yours.
Not anybody else's.
Right.
And I respect that. And that's been kind of like the cool thing, like this little secret society that I've been a part of. I went to the Keys. I went to a meeting. And 7 a.m. I'm instantly plugged in to my people, man. Like, I'm picking up a worm at the 7 a.m. meeting because they give out worms as a visitor worm. And then they have these rubber chickens.
Like a real, fishing worm?
Yeah, they give out worms. Yeah, the early bird gets the worm.
Early
yeah,
bird. I get it now.
So we're getting, instead of chips, they give out, well, the Keys are very interesting, pal.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And they have these rubber chickens laying around the floors that if you don't get the worm, the chicken will or something. I don't even know.
So if you come late, get a chicken, not a worm?
I could think you get a chicken for your anniversary or something. I don't know.
You get a nugget, chicken nugget.
Well, they had a whole, each worm that denoted a different length of sobriety actually had a almost like some sort of lyric to it that they would recite, and it was quite the production. The worm meeting, very cool though.
The greatest experience I have by going to a meeting in another place was
Nice.
I was, 2 years sober. I went to Italy and tried to find a meeting in Italian. I mean, in English, in Italy. Couldn't find one. Or maybe I thought I was going to an English-speaking meeting. Anyways, regardless, not the point. I got to the meeting. It was in Italian.
Beautiful.
I don't speak any Italian, except for, the basics. It was amazing how I could understand everything that people were saying without speaking any Italian.
Passion. Did you feel the passion?
I felt the passion, but I felt the energy, but I also like the way people spoke and the way that they inflected their voice and, and also knowing, some words like God and whatever, okay, they're talking about, but it was the most amazing moment. It was like watching a movie without subtitles in another language, but understanding it.
Right. That's happened to me in
really
Spanish.
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I've
That's
been
the
to that in Spanish,
universalness of it.
Spanish-speaking country where I get that same vibe. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, it's but there are people, man. They're our people. Well, that's the coolest part about it, man.
And also, the program's not any different.
No,
right? Like at the end of the day, it's still like I didn't go into my first meeting that was in Italian and understand it. It was like 12 steps are still the same. 12 traditions are still the same.
Yeah.
The literature is still the same. So, but hearing it in a different language was pretty, and understanding it was pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I'd say we're they're very serious in some places. Like they're like screaming mad, and they're just
I went to, where was it? London, where they didn't allow people to speak unless they had either a year or 2 years of sobriety.
nice.
So talk about sitting down and taking the cotton out of your ears and putting it in your mouth. They asked that you didn't speak. Unless you were going to, drink or...
Right.
Hey, man, a lot of places do meetings different. I've been over here in this area over here, and it's only 30 minutes away from Tampa, but I've been grousing about some of the formats here. I'm like, I don't want to do story time, and I want to get into the first 164, damn it.
Yeah.
I'm working on this, Greg. I'm a hard nut.
He is certainly set in the ways that he likes a meeting to go. And he is,
and I get it. I mean, that's what I talked about when I moved to Tampa. Like I said, the steps and the traditions were still the same.
Yeah.
The book was still the same, but formats.
Shenanigans!
Like just one. Like all the meetings in San Francisco were speaker and then discussion. Like 30-minute speaker spoke for 20 minutes, 25 minutes,
Right.
and then had a discussion. Tampa, they were all discussion. But it was just, it's just a different format, different way of doing things. But when you're used to, look, I'm just a creature of habit a lot of ways. But I also look, sometimes when I'm not in the most spiritual place, I look for reasons.
Shenanigans!
Reasons not to go. And like, I don't need to do that. Like, they do it differently.
Yeah, the question I would like to ask you, Ben, that brings that up is you came in at a very young age. Did somebody guide you to the first meeting you went to, or did you just decide, I'm going to try this on my own? Like, did you look it up in the yellow pages, how to find the meeting?
No, I wasn't calling AA's 24 hours helpline. The short story is...
Or was it state sanctioned?
No, but it was... Well, okay. So I struggled with addiction for a couple years, in and out, would go... rehab. I think I went to 2 rehabs. Then would go out and not go to meetings and go back to my normal life. And it wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. And then finally I had my last relapse, and things got pretty out of control. And I was in a car accident. I went back to the hospital, and actually the hospital where the rehab was. And my mom and the therapist came in from the 3rd floor where the rehab was, and they put out a plan. They're like, you're going to go to the 6-month treatment program, and if you don't, it's persona non grata, So it was like mom finally pulled the blanket of codependency enabling. Right?
Gotcha.
And I said something in hospital that, just to warn people, don't ever say. So it was the name of the halfway house was the Henry Olaf House. And I said, I'd rather die than go to the Henry Olaf House. And the therapist said, what'd you say? With a smile on his face, too. Ooh. Like he knew at that point. And I said, I'd rather die than go to the Henry Olaf House. I said it again. He went out, he got some orderlies, and they came in, and they were going to take me to the psych ward, and I started throwing blows and all kinds of stuff. And then they got me with Thorazine.
Oh, yeah.
Put the straitjacket on me, took me down to the 2nd floor, I think, which was the Baker Act here in Florida, 5150 in California. And they put me in the 5150 for 72 hours.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I was in there, I don't know how long till I woke up, and they came in, they're like, calm down, take the straitjacket off. So they said, you can go in the common room. And so I went down to the common room, and it was like people in there were like going about their normal business, watching TV, playing games. Only problem was there was no TV. There was no game. This is like Tampa, SF General. It was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I was just going to use that reference.
It was like that. So then I just like had that moment of clarity. I was like, this is where they talked about when I did go to those couple meetings, like jails, institutions, death.
Dude,
like I belonged there at the time,
yeah,
but I didn't belong there because, sober. So I'm on the phone, I'm trying to call my mom. Call the mayor. Like, do whatever you. She's like, no, you're going to stay there.
Oh, nice.
And so I went to the Henry Olaf House.
Over your dead body.
Over, that sentiment quickly changed.
Yeah.
But I went there, and they had a lot of rules and regulations, and you had to work, and you had to go to meetings.
Nice.
And so, if you wanted to stay in the house, And if you didn't fulfill it, you got kicked out of that. So that's how I got introduced. But it took a while for it to get ingrained.
Yeah.
And I still went in there and all I heard was God. My name's Ben, God. But so that's how eventually, and then some guy came out. I was in this one meeting and I was like, hey, screw this. So I went outside. I had to have a cigarette, and I was outside the cigarette. This short little guy named Mike came out, and he looked at me and goes, "You're gonna fucking die."
Shenanigans!
Ooh.
And I was like,
Oh.
who the hell are you? Are you the guy that they're talking about in there? Like, what are you talking about? And he actually ended up being, let me talk about godsend. Like, he was the one who grabbed me and took me under his wing, would take me to coffee, like take me to the place, and he integrated me in the middle of the boat.
Nice.
But what an introduction, huh? What a lead line.
Wow.
Dude, I had very similar.
Yeah.
Did you get the shoes with the foam shoes with the smiley faces on them?
No.
And the psych word?
No.
Oh, those were awesome.
No, we got socks and the open.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
And let me tell you, the Thorazine shuffle is real.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're just like a zombie walking down the hallway. It's like, oh my.
Do you know I had a prescription for Stelazine?
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's a derivative of Thorazine. When I got out, I used to go to the med center and the treatment center, go to the little window, and they give me my little pills.
With a little cup of water?
Oh, yeah. And Stelazine.
Shenanigans!
And, oh, yeah. That was on my, just to keep me from climbing off the ceilings. I mean, I was totally crazy.
Yeah, it was just one of those moments that, like, I needed to see, because everybody can tell you that you need it, right? Anybody can tell you, you probably know you need it. Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had that experience.
Absolutely.
And everybody around you, even the four assholes you used to play golf with, like they're like, that guy's messed up, right? But it's the secret is when we actually want it.
Yeah.
When we actually want to do the work and do the things that it takes. Because as Chris knows, it's just not about putting it down the drink or the drug. It's a whole lot more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He says that Chris Primo uses that a lot. It's not just about stopping drinking. There's a lot more to it, and I get to see that, being fresher in the program and being around some guys with some longevity like Primo and yourself and guys he's introducing me to, and there are some old timers in the meetings that I go to over here. It's great. I get I don't know that if I would have stuck around if I'd have come in as young as you guys. I just don't know that I would have had the wherewithal to do it, or I would have convinced myself that it's not for me. Like you said, I would have convinced myself I don't belong here. I would have convinced myself I'd have quit drinking for 90 days and been like, all right, bet I'm not an alcoholic.
But
I did it. Right? Yeah. See,
but the trick is, dude, is that you need and it wouldn't have been difficult for you. You need a short guy, just like I had a short guy. And it was hard for me to find a short guy. Just need a short guy to come in and tell you you're going to die.
You're so obsessed with height. You bring it up all the time. I've had lots of my sponsor is a short guy. The guy who
there you go.
The guy who, and you brought this up earlier, and I remember feeling this way because it was not too long ago. But I remember feeling that I was a failure, that I was weak, that the fact that I had succumbed to this meant that I wasn't a man, that I was a weak person, that I couldn't handle this particular thing, although I hadn't been handling it for 30 years. And after I cried and did all that, he was the one that said, this is the strongest thing you'll do. This is not weakness. This is the opposite of weakness. And knowing how long I've known him,
I love that.
He said this to me,
and
it's so true. It resonated with me. And he's my sponsor. I talk to him all the time. But the way he said it was so convincing to me that it convinced me that, I am being strong by doing this. Well, I'll just continue to be strong by continuing to do this. This is just, I've changed my life many times. This is the new change. And this change has been better than any other change ever, just because I get to see and remember the fruits of the work.
Yeah.
There's just so much of my life I don't remember from the abuse and when I've got kids in their 20s, and I remember when sleeping in was a thing. Why would I ever do that now? I mean, sure, I may be tired one day, but being extra lazy is not a thing to be proud of.
Right.
It is when you're
20s.
when you're going to bed hungover,
Right.
whatever. Sure, but man, nowadays, dude, I'm up at 5. I can't wait to see the sun come up. I can't wait to get to the morning meeting. My son moved away for 5 years. He came back. When he went away, I wouldn't walk the dog. I was doing nothing, that was getting me anywhere. I was in the process of selling my company, so I was knew exactly what I was doing, and I didn't have to do anything for anybody. So I'm just going to stay drunk and stay lazy, what have you.
Sounds like a great plan. Sounds like a great alcoholic plan.
It's terrible.
No, but I get it.
He's home now, right? So he's like, Dad, what are you doing walking the dog? Like, I wouldn't even.
Who is this guy?
Well, right, exactly.
Who is this guy getting up at 5 and walking the dog? What?
I know.
Hi, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, going to bed. At 9:45, I'm out. I'll see you guys in the morning, maybe. So I can, I get to be, and Primo talks about this all the time, is he gets to watch me open up or see new things, or even at my age, at advanced age, I'm seeing things as new again. Yeah. And it's a real blessing, because I was real close to losing everything. In fact, it had come to my attention that I was losing everything. And that's the day that what I did was, first I called my sponsor, the guy I just talked about, and I knew he'd been sober 10 years. And I said, I got to do it. What do I do? What do I do? And he said, you go find a meeting. And I said, oh, okay. How do I find a meeting? And he didn't tell me about apps. If you Google AA in Pinellas County, there's an actual location on US 19 up in Tarpon. Yep. So I walked in that door, and there's a man sitting there by himself. His name was Paul. I remember it. Books everywhere. And I sat there disheveled in front of him, and I just said, I've lost everything, and I knew this day was coming, and I don't know where to go from here. And what do I do? And he gave me a big book, didn't charge me for it. And he said, there's a meeting starting right around the corner up in the Hudson area, and go there. So I'm standing outside of that meeting, and it's a dingy ass place. And there's guys outside smoking cigarettes. And I call my sponsor, and I tell him where I'm at. And I go, I got to be in the wrong place. This can't be the place. He goes, this can't be the place. He goes, are there guys outside smoking cigarettes? Yep. I go, yes.
Absolutely.
He goes, you're in the right place.
Yep. You ever want to find an AA meeting?
Yeah.
Like, look for this, even 30 years, like even in 2025, look for people smoking outside of church.
Yep.
Or, a building, a strip center building. But, that's one thing that stayed the same.
Yeah. And he just said, walk in. Just go in. Just fight that fear and go in. And that, man, what a great day that was. I have since found a different meeting closer to my house, but I'm eternally grateful for the program and for the people that I meet in it, and for the opportunity to try to possibly help other people. Because much like you said, what is happening to me now is I've got friends outside the rooms coming to me.
A little curiosity.
And how do I, and I've taken a couple of guys into meetings.
I only drink on the weekends.
Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, my old friends,
and sometimes
none of them said they were surprised. None of them were like, really? They were all like, oh, it's about time.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're usually the last ones to know. Like,
they didn't say, I thought you was bad, but I didn't know you was that bad.
Yeah.
What's one thing, and this is pretty general, but I think it's true for at least my experience and my truth is, if you think you have a problem with drinking and drugs, chances are you probably do.
There's a test,
and because normal people, or people who don't have a problem, don't sit around thinking
right
if they have a problem with drugs and alcohol.
There's an actual test that you can take if you want to know if you're an alcoholic or not. It's 100% accurate. Did you guys have heard of it?
So this isn't the pamphlet. I know it's going to be something else. I know you, Chris.
This is a setup.
This is a setup joke. I know you, Chris.
This is a setup.
What is it? All right. Sorry. What is it, Chris?
Thank you for indulging me. Well, have you ever been to an AA meeting? Whatever your answer is. that determines whether you're an alcoholic or not. Okay, all right. You
No,
just,
no,
you
no.
sucked it out.
No, I get it. I'm sorry.
You blew
I
it.
stepped on your joke. I'm sorry. But what about if you've
So if
thought?
you say
what about a
yes.
thought about going to an AA meeting?
Well, the 100% accurate test is if you've ever been to a meeting or not. Okay. The other test, if you're just sitting around wondering, okay, and you haven't been to an AA meeting yet, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, that's why.
Sorry,
I say
you're screwed.
That's what
Yeah.
my experience. Like, I don't know anybody who's a quote unquote normal, drinker, normal user, who sits around and wonders, do I have a problem? I think I have a problem with alcohol.
I remember those.
I can tell you after 30 years and knowing a lot of chances are, yeah, you probably do.
4 years.
And it's a blessing.
Yeah, 4 years before I got sober, I was asking that question.
Right, me too.
Okay. And then 3 years, and then 2 years, and then it was like, the same question. And then eventually I was, basically Baker acted.
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice. I didn't have to ask the question anymore. They let me know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's an excellent segue. Speaking of segues, listen, if you're having a tough time quitting, whatever it is, you need to quit. You're not alone. There's apps and numbers and groups in your town where you can call us if you want. Leave us a message, 727-294-4933. Hit us up on Facebook. Taking that first step into a room or a chat or a group with people trying to get better just like you will be the best day of your life. So, Primo, your final point today on anonymity or lack thereof or anything else that we've talked about.
I guess you're just not that important. You know what I mean? I'm not that important. But I'm useful. I can be useful, but I don't have to worry about myself as much.
Nice.
I'm not that big a deal.
No, you're not.
Thank you.
And Ben, it's been
Wow, it's great to really finally hear you say that.
right?
Can you edit that out?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Well, Ben, it's been great having you today. Is there anything that you'd like to shout out on your way out the door?
No, I just want to express, gratitude and appreciation for you guys and the message that you are spreading out there. One of the beautiful things about technology we've talked about earlier, got a little sidetracked with vinyl and computers, but there are some really good things. And one of those things is being able to have access to hear stories, to hear, people's experiences, and that sobriety is possible. And look what happens. And so I just want to express, for what you guys are doing and the message you're sending. I think it's great.
Ben, thank you.
Ben, thank you so much.
So
for coming.
much.
Hey,
Seriously.
I love hearing myself talk. So.
Well, but you're a very integral part of things that mean a lot to me. So thank you for being here.
Nice. Well, listen, for our listeners, thanks for listening to Sober Shenanigans, real talk and real recovery. Hey, worry, anxiety, and fear, it's all up in here. Just give yourself a break. You're enough and you're doing great. I'm Stoff and he's Primo. And remember, no drinks today.
We're all in the same boat, fellas.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.